Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week for 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I am here with Shah Barrett.
Hi there.
Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
And Wendy Vella.
Hello.
And we are wearing magical hats today if you want to come and watch us on YouTube, because we look like
hats.
Dorks, but
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
You look amazing.
I have a halo above my head.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it normally there? I just hadn't noticed it before, Shah. Yeah.
She shined it a little.
Yeah, she shined it. That's it. She shone. Is it shined it? Now I'm going to be
Shone.
concerned about how
I think you would.
you shone it. Yeah, see, that sounds wrong too.
Shone a light.
It's
She
shined.
She shines
Is it?
the
Shine
halo.
is the
Yes.
act of doing it. Shone
Yeah.
is what happens after
Yeah,
you've shone
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Can we move on? Because this is not a grammar lesson, really.
Okay, sorry.
We're
Yes.
writers,
Okay,
we should know the difference.
so this episode is coming to you between Christmas and New Year's. So we've had all our celebrations. We're very excited to be moving on to 2022.
Very excited.
Very excited.
Just quietly.
Yeah, because 22 is going to
And-
magically make it all better.
Well, I'm not saying what I said at the end of 2020, which is 2021, New Year. It's all of this nonsense is going to be
No.
over, and here we
Oh,
are.
so it's
we're
your
not
fault.
saying that again.
Oh yeah, so
because
you
we're not-
basically jinxed us.
No,
Awesome.
I didn't say it out loud. I didn't speak it into existence. I'm just saying
You
we're
thought it
looking
into
forward
existence though.
to
Oh my
20.
God.
Let's just
22.
all think positively.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
least of all, look at all the twos in there. 2022. Great
Mm.
number. Great number.
2022. Okay. Anyway, so awesome. New Year. Oh my God, there's a rabbit next to my sparkle. What? Make
You
it
live
go
in the
away.
country, dude.
Oh,
There's
it's
probably
like a
like
little
about a
Baby
thousand of them out there.
rabbit, like crawling about, thinking
I
like
have
it
a
owns
dog
my.
that does that.
You sure it's
Should
not
be
a dog?
It's like right next to
Anyway.
the house.
Anyway,
sorry.
We're
Back
carrying
on,
on from the
on
Christmas
focus.
podcast.
Yeah.
It was
Crazy.
a wild rabbit here, just for the.
Why? It's a wild rabbit that's
Yeah.
like right next to the house where it shouldn't be. Anyway, don't
Chuck
worry.
it in a pot, it'll be good.
If you can catch them, they're actually little buggers. Anyway,
So
sorry.
what should we talk about today?
Yes, thank you, Cheryl. That's what I've been trying to get onto. So we just thought opportunity for us to have a quick chat to you all about making sure that you take a break and recharge at this time of year. Like Christmas is really stressful. There's so many things to do. We spend too much money, and
Too much peopling.
too many
much.
people. You
Eat
eat
too
too
much
much. You do all
people.
these things.
Drink too
And
much? Or
Drink
is it
too
just me?
much. It's just you, yeah. And so after Christmas, it's kind of like this opportunity to just kind of take a break and relax and recharge. And it's really, really important to do that. It is
Totally.
like anyone who's trying to work hard for long periods of time and doing all this extra hours, you can't do it indefinitely. You can't burn yourself. You'll burn yourself out. We've seen it time and time again within the author community. People who come on the show or whatever, and they say how they're doing all these hours, and then a month, a year, 2 years later, they're burnt out. They've not been able to keep it up. And it's the ones who kind of have a little bit of work-life balance who are the ones that are able to keep it up over the long term. And we want you to be able to keep this up over the long term, right, guys?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mentally
Absolutely.
and physically, it's important.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
So why should you?
Yeah. So that's the question, Wendy. Why should you? Why do you think? What's your first thought?
I think you get into a bit of a routine during the year, and it becomes something you do by rote. But I don't know that by the end of it, if it's good for you to keep going in that vein. I think we need to, as creatives, I think we need to step back, reevaluate, take a break, walk away, and to basically just work out, have a rethink about what you've done, where you've been, where you're going, what you want to do. And for me personally, I can just take a week and come back a completely different person. I want to write, I want to do this. At the moment, I really don't want to sit down and write. I really don't want to think about work. I really don't want to think. So for me, it's a total recharging of the batteries, doing something completely different from what I would be doing on a normal day-to-day.
Mm-hmm. And how long are you taking to do that? How long do you?
I'm actually going to go on a trip down to the South Island and doing a cycling trip for 9 days. I'm away. We're doing all sorts of fun things. So that'll be, no laptops, no writing,
No
enforced.
stressing over ads.
No.
Just Yeah.
just enforced vacation.
Yeah.
And I just think your brain needs that when you work and you're creative as we are, you know. So I think it's important to do those, you know, to do those things.
Yeah.
You come back, I think in the long term, you're going to benefit from it.
How do
Yeah.
you find though? Do you worry that you're taking your eyes away
Absolutely.
from work? You do. So how do you get around that?
Absolutely. I don't know that you do, to be fair, but I think the longer you take off, the better as time goes on. I think it's just a mental thing for me. I've got to plan a break and go, right, that is my break.
Mm.
Everything stops. So
You
I'm
have to-
leading to that point.
You have to put a few things into place,
Yes.
though, to have that time off, don't you?
That's
You have
exactly
to make
right.
sure that you're not running ads that are going to break the bank, that any deadlines you will be able to meet, or
Yep.
you've made sure that your deadlines are so far in advance that it's not going to be a problem because you've allowed for it. I
Yeah.
think that's really, really important, because to be able to relax fully, your mind, you don't want your mind to be still latching on, you know, still to be engaged.
You've got to prepare for it.
Yeah, if I don't do this, the world's going to fall apart. You can't go away. You can't have a break with it, you know, sitting on your shoulders, can you?
No,
Mm.
absolutely. But I mean, if you think about, I think we've got to actually think, you know, what are the positives to why we need to take a recharge? And I think stress has got to be a huge factor in it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's not
And
good
if you
for our
think about
bodies.
any business,
Yeah.
you know, in the world that isn't ours, I mean, they close down.
Mm.
So it all is just a matter of putting things in place and, you know, being able to have that freedom to do that without
Yep.
stressing.
And you're right about the scheduling thing, right? So you can schedule your time when you're working and you can be fully focused on the working,
Mhm.
and you can schedule your time when you're taking a break, and then you can be fully focused on taking that break, right? And if you're like for years, I would be kind of like half doing stuff and then half trying to spend time with family and half doing, and my attention was always only half on everything that I wanted to. So if you can kind of be fully attention on doing your work for how many hours in a day, and you schedule it and you do that, and then you can be fully present with your family and be really relaxed and happy when you're taking that time off, and you don't need to be, you know, worried about taking time off from the business because you've planned it and you know that you're going to be able to make things happen. Yeah.
Talk about filling the creative well. I think you need to fill the well that is you know, your spirit and your health, and, you know, you have to take care of that, because you're all of that.
Time to do the things you love, and that's reading, connecting with people that probably you haven't given 100% of yourself to during the year, because you've had in the back of your mind, you've been, oh, I'm going to do that, I can spend 5 minutes with you, you know, and doing something for fun like that, just for you, like I'm going to do that, and then, you know, just for fun, and it's not going to have anything to do with my work, or, you know, and just shutting off that part of your life just for a little while, the best you can.
But the irony is, isn't it, that by doing those fun things, it's usually when you have amazing creative ideas, it does, as Cheryl says, refill your well. Maybe you might go to an art gallery or a museum, or just read a great book or watch a cool movie. That's often filling up that creative well, which is really important for your business anyhow. So a lot of by taking that recharging time, it's actually benefiting you as well.
100%. That's when I always get the best ideas, is when I'm doing something that's completely like very can be often very creative, but completely unrelated to actually my own writing, you know, like when I was living in Auckland, I used to love going to the Readers and Writers Festival, to the non-fiction authors, not necessarily to the fiction authors, just because they were always these fascinating topics, talking about stuff that was just like sometimes would blow my mind. Like you would just be like, what, this thing, you know, and that kind of stuff, or even just going to an art gallery and looking at the pictures and seeing what happens. They have a cool one going around. It was in Hamilton, must have been in other places too. There was the costumes that were worn in different movies. I think that's what it was.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so you got to see their actual pretty sure that was what the costumes were.
It
Anyway,
was
these
museum,
cool.
wasn't it?
It was at the Hamilton Museum, but I think it was one of those ones that tours around, so maybe it was in other places in New Zealand too. But and that was just fascinating. It was just kind of like all these cool. Anyway, so just doing stuff like that is awesome. I love going to burlesque shows. That's one of my faves. that doesn't necessarily
I
give
did
me
not see that
ideas.
coming.
No, that was right out of left field. But then again,
No,
is it
I mean,
really?
I always get to go to them because they're kind of half pie circus shows. So
Yes.
they're kind of like, because of my carnival series, it's kind of feels like it's work to go to these really cool shows.
That's research.
Good
it's research.
excuse. Good
Yeah,
excuse.
yeah.
I just want to also add that I think it's important to put your phone down.
Oh,
Mm.
oh yes.
Like I run my
know it,
business
but
from my
man.
phone, right? Like everything is coming through my phone besides the writing. We all do. And I think it's important to actually turn it off and just walk away from it for a while. But it's a very hard thing to do. But I think that's our biggest, that's massive for me. I spend far too much time on my phone.
On electrical devices too. It's not just the being on the phone, it's the we're at its beck and call. We've kind of there's this idea of like how you kind of almost training yourself. As soon as the phone goes off, you have to check it. Like do you get that? When as soon as there's a message or something dings on your phone, you can't leave it.
No.
Or it becomes a struggle to leave it, right? So actually, even I've heard people talk about that, saying that you should, when you're writing, you shouldn't have the phone in the same room as you. You should have it separate, because otherwise, anytime anything happens with that phone, you're constantly checking it and disrupting your writing. So it's and it's apparently, I don't know, but you get a dopamine hit from either answering them, like looking at your phone to check the message, or it could be when someone likes your Facebook post or things like that. That's why I can't remember if did they do it on Insta where they tried to take off the like button, but it's now the love button's there. So is that the button? I wasn't on Instagram when they did it.
The numbers of
So
the amount of
tell.
people. Yeah, you can't tell how many people.
Okay. And that was an attempt, I believe, to stop. I think their reasoning was that it was people were getting obsessed by that. Is that right? So there's all those kinds of things. We kind of get addicted to that sort of thing in our digital world, and maybe just letting our bodies kind of relax a bit out of that is an awesome idea.
It's really important, I think, for all of us, even if it's like a day or two or anything. You used to get a weekend. I used to get a weekend when I went to work.
Yes.
Now we don't even get that. So the brain it's going to help you and benefit you in the long run. Do as I say, not as I do. And it is going to benefit you in the long run if you can take some time to connect with people, do something different, go out and go for a walk, if you don't want to go for a walk, go for a bike ride or something, but do something that is out of the normal and a complete break. And I think everyone needs to do that.
And the argument is always for staying at your desk and working. Oh, but I've got to get this done. And what you find is if you don't take those breaks and don't do those things, you're way less productive. You're actually not getting it done to the same level as you would if you took that break and gave yourself a bit of time to recharge. So
exactly,
it's kind of counterproductive to be that person sitting at your desk on Christmas Day or whenever, New Year's Eve, trying to write the next chapter or whatever.
And then coming back and just planning, like it's a great time to plan when you've had that break and you're fresh and you come back and you're like, right, I'm going to settle down now and work out what I'm going to do this year or something like that. I think it's really important to just, I think you get to look at things clearer when you're not too close to it all the time.
So maybe next year that's one of our first episodes, or maybe not, maybe we've got a couple up our sleeves before that, but a planning episode talking about how we plan, the different planning styles, what might work for different people. I think is one of the things that we're definitely going to do in January, I hope.
The show and tell session with my Erin Condren boxes that I have yet to open for 2022.
Oh my gosh. You and the what do you call it? The delayed
planning. I agree.
Delayed gratification.
Pointing out the obvious here. Pointing out the obvious, but just to clarify for us, it's our summer. So over Christmas, New Year, which I know sounds weird when you're in the Northern Hemisphere, but our schools are off. So Trudy's daughter will be home and for an extended period of time now until
6
February.
weeks, 7 weeks almost.
So this is kind of usually our chief time to go away on holiday. So it sounds it might sound a little extravagant over the Christmas New Year period if you're not used to having more than a few days off, but for us this is our July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
It's exactly what it is.
yeah.
But you do need, I mean, Christmas and New Year's are a busy time, and I think even if
There
you
also
don't
can
have
be a
the
really emotionally fraught time, and not
Yeah.
necessarily in a good way either. So I
No,
think sometimes a little
no.
bit of a detox from all of that too is
Yeah.
good for the one's mental health.
and
Giving
it's good
yourself
to
permission. Give
Mm.
yourself permission. to
Especially
make
if
a
you've
break.
struggled this year, which I'm sure 99% of us have.
Yeah.
Then just use the time for you.
because it's a really good point about the emotional struggle, because we have been talking about, you know, the physical busy, but actually that emotional struggle is a big one. And like, so for example, my husband is a massive introvert, and if you're someone who is an introvert and you need to have that time away from people, and you need to have, just be aware of that, and it's okay to do that, to take yourself away, and you know, we make sure that he gets the time to be on his own and do his own thing, because that's how he recharges, and he is he's a much happier, better person when he can do that. And Christmas time is a time when it's a lot harder to get those kind of moments of peace. So if you are, for example, an introvert, make sure that you do, and a lot of writers are, I believe, I would say there's a fairly high proportion of us that are introverts, that you do need to make sure that you can take that time away and give yourself that opportunity to recharge. And what is essential, Peter, my husband, likes to tell me that it's an extrovert's world. Is what he's always telling me, that he's an introvert living in an extrovert's world. And I don't know, maybe that's true, but you know, a lot of stuff is designed for extroverts, like the people going out and doing stuff, and you kind of looked at a little bit weirdly if you want to just go away and be by yourself for a little while sometimes. So it's okay.
It's healthy. I think it's healthy to be by yourself for a while, but not all the time. I think you do need to push yourself a little. If it's easier for you to be by yourself, then I think you do need to push yourself a little bit, just to get out there and see what's going on in the world, and see how other people are, and let them help you, and you help them, and
Go to Starbucks.
100%. Don't spend all your time by yourself.
Go to Starbucks and have a peppermint mocha. Just saying, the best thing ever. Just had one the other day. It's so good.
There was I wanted to talk about the sleep bank thing. So Wendy, this is you.
Well, I don't know that much about it. I'm just saying, my son had someone come and speak to their team, and he was just saying you can bank sleep. So sometimes you're exhausted and you're just like, I didn't get enough sleep, but then you can have 2 nights of really good sleep, and they call it sleep banking. So that helps you get through the really bad ones. And
so do you think you could do it beforehand, so you could have like a week of really good sleep, knowing that you're going to have like a few days?
I mean, how many times have we had really bad nights, like stayed awake all night, like, you know, for various reasons, and you know, like the times that I've had a deadline or and I've got through, and the next I've actually been fine, and I'm like, why am I not just totally dead? It's because the 2 nights before that I'd slept really well. And bank some sleep, and you know, so I'm just saying, if you can, I think we get very hung up on sleeping badly. I know I do, because I don't sleep well, but then when I have a really good night's sleep, I find that the next few days are really good. So what I'm trying to say is, don't get hung up on sleeping badly if you do have sleep well for a couple of nights and then have a couple of bad ones. But going away on holiday should help. Moving away. And I think that's another thing, going away on holiday and leaving all that stress and trying to put that stress behind you. I think you will find sleep comes a little bit easier. And I know it does for me. And that's going to start that routine of good sleep, good thoughts, good positivity, good, you know, to come back and go for the new year. Yes, Trudy.
Personally, I find that I have such an amazing bed at home that I always, whenever we go away, I get such bad sleep at the hotels and other places. And I'm like, I just want to go home to my awesome bed.
Exactly. But being rested is a good thing too. Like taking time to just lay down and read a book, even if it's not on the bed. you know, just those sorts of
resting.
things, I think, make you
resting.
20-minute cat naps are great too. Set the timer for 25 minutes.
Power naps, don't they call them?
Past that.
20-minute power.
I've been good with power naps. I kind of wake up
drugged.
Well, you're not supposed to go for longer than 20 minutes, apparently. Like, so if it's longer than that, then you feel like terrible. But
good luck somebody waking me up in 20 minutes.
And walking afterwards.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we wanted to add on this? Like, what else is recharging about? Like, actually,
I
do you
think
know what
nature is really important.
Mhm.
Nature,
Yeah.
getting out, like if you can get to a beach or get near water or walking through trees or, just walking and feeling nature, I think is a massive regenerator. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe. But like just giving us that sort of hands in water, feeling sand on your feet,
Yeah.
or just walking through trees and just breathing in that sort of air. I think it's really good for us.
Human connection as well,
Yeah.
touching. I think that's really good. I know some people would absolutely abhor it, probably Shah, but
No,
unless
I'm
it was
okay with
us.
touching those that I knew. I'm
Yes.
not big on
Yes, no, don't go out touching
strangers.
strangers.
No,
'cause it's
don't
like
just
all
randomly
kinds of
touch
wrong.
Don't
Yeah.
don't touch random strangers. That's
Yeah.
frowned upon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just lifts you. I mean, just your whole body just feels different when you have a really good hug. Not this namby-pamby thingy, like that. Not like that. Just
Ear
go
kisses.
in.
No ear
Just-
kisses
yeah.
for Cheryl.
No, don't be doing that.
Just go
Proper
in
beer
and
hug.
just
Yeah.
like boom.
Squeezy.
I can
Yeah.
only like hugs with people I know and
A funny,
not just
funny,
but people who I really
a little
care about.
funny
10
incident with
seconds.
Trudels. I hadn't seen her for months and months because we've been in lockdown, and we pulled up beside each other. We were going to see each other, and she's like, I'm like, do we hug? Because knowing her hug phobia.
I don't have a hug.
Well, not a hug
Well,
phobia,
it's
but she
not
doesn't like to hug random people, obviously.
But
Who
it's
does?
also the
Unless
whole,
they're really
like,
hot with a nice
do you
body
wear
and,
masks,
like,
all of
abs
that
and
kind of
stuff.
stuff. So it's confused
Anyway,
everything.
so Trudy got out and we hugged. Man, did we
Oh,
hug.
it was a good hug.
It was a
good hug. I
good
enjoyed that hug.
hug, and we
The rest
both
make
felt
us.
so good after